Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Against all odds, it's still May. It feels like we've lived like 3 months this month, but it's May 30th. It's Tuesday. It's time for coffee. Cursey words. I have both. I have a Starbucks cold brew this morning and some coffee words and a bit of a cold. So if you're going to come in and be like, Emily, you sound congested, you are correct. I am. But I didn't want to do the entire show like
with my voice changer. I thought that would get annoying. So
we're just going to rock with the raspy. Emily's allergic to going out more than one night in a row and can't seem to manage to do that without getting congested. That's the way it is. It was a really good weekend. We caught Dave Matthews. We had a very chill Memorial Day. Memorial Day always feels like one that's just supposed to be chill and in remembrance of those who served. It's I don't know. It feels like a chill day, but it was a chill day at this house for sure. My spouse went. We do flags in the communities, so went and put out flags for a fundraiser that our kids' school's band does, and that was really cool to see all of that out. It was great. So today, what are we talking about? Well, I'll talk a little bit more about Dave and Vanderpump Rules because it's my life at the moment. We're going to have to talk about it. But we're actually also going to talk about this Burn After Reading letter. Of course, it was released to the media after I was like out for the week because, well, I cover things that tend to be in the news at the moment. And when you cover things that are in the news in the moment, it's very easy to never stop. But I have to build in those stops. And that's one of the things that I did when I was like, could I go live today? I'm like, it would be a crunch, but maybe. And I'm like, no. We will talk about it all together. It's going to be great to talk about it all together. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on in Idaho, the prosecution asking about an alibi. What does that even mean? Is Kohberger even the right person? His parents are being called to a grand jury. There's so much stuff happening. And then, of course, we're going to touch in with just one topic that I have covered a bit, a defamation case between Cardi B and Tasha K, because there are new filings in that case, and we're just going to talk about them real quick. So that's what we're covering today. It's so good to see all of you. I missed you. It was great. Are you ready? I'm ready. We're going to roll the intro. We're going to chat a little bit about the weekend. Tell me where you're coming in from, what you're drinking, how your weekend was. And let's go. Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not. Let's get into it. It's good to see all of you coming in. I've got our chat now popped out so I can see it in both places. Because members, when you send all your member celebrations, like the one for Sarah New for 22 months, I don't always get to see those on my end. So I wanted to pop those out. B2, thank you for the generous gift of 20 memberships to the channel. It's fantastic. One of the things about memberships and gifting memberships that a lot of streamers have been asking for is the ability to like decide who you're gifting them to. And that'll be really interesting if YouTube rolls that out. They really seem to go by who's active in the chat and who's regularly in the chat, and that's how they do it. So it was really, now I see all of the member celebration super chats coming up. If you are a member, you do get a free like super chat. I can see them. So that's really fun. Now I see all of them. Y'all are funny. It's good to see you. So we have lots to talk about today, don't we? And if I have a little bit of a snuffle, I apologize again. We went to go see Dave Matthews. My friend Candace came in from Arizona. Octo came in from Texas, and we had a really good time. Dr. B came up. Dr. B doesn't always Dave with me. It's been a hot minute since Dr. B has been to a Dave show, because often he's like, have fun with the Dave people. But it was Warren's first Dave show ever. And so it was really fun to also get to run around Nashville a little bit with Dr. B. We don't always get to do that. So it was just absolutely fantastic. We had a great time. The show in Nashville was absolute fire. It's a home show for one of the horn players, Jeff Coffin. That was fantastic. It was great to run into law nerds there. So all the law nerds I saw at Dave, hello. It was good to see you. Thank you for saying hello. We had So much fun. Of course, we made new Dave friends. We always make new Dave friends. That's one of the things about going to a show like Dave Matthews. You just make friends. You make new Dave friends. Everybody's new Dave friends. We made Dave friends that I will see at like 3 other concerts this summer. I'm like, oh, wait, are you going here? Yep. Okay. Are you going here? Yep. Okay, great. Just a fantastic show and fully inducted Warren. He's like, what is this? And I'm like, I mean, I don't want to say it's a cult, but it has all of the trappings of a cult. So maybe the cult of Dave. Welcome. There's things that when you go to the live shows that are part of the live show experience. There are dances, there are add-ons to songs, there are woos. We didn't get to do any woos for those of you Dave friends. There was no wooing this show, but there will be wooing next show. But he played Brick House after Jimmy thing, which is a lot of fun. The group that we like, my group, and then some of the Dave friends standing in front of us all had songs they wanted to sing. And so it was really fun seeing like each time a song came up, like each of us got like this show, the number one thing I want to see this show is this. Every single person in our group who had the one thing they wanted to see that night saw it. It was absolutely incredible. I didn't think after he played Satellite that we would hear number 41, but we sure did. We sure did. It was great. It was so fantastic. Yes. For those of you in the chat joking that the D stands for Dave, that's exactly what it is. For those of you who are like, what? Dave Matthews Band. It's Dave Matthews Band. You can tell how old people are when you're like, we're going to a Dave Matthews show and they're like, wait, who? Because they're too young. Or they're like, wait, he's still around? Yes. Yes. And tours every single summer. And it's just really fun that there are still people coming to new shows. There were kids of the TikTok generation sitting kind of near us. It was so much fun to see them rock out the entire show. Just like jumping around, floppy haired, like the whole thing. I'm like, I love it. I love seeing the wee Dave fans who are like, my parents made us listen to this stuff as we were growing up and now we love it. It's like, yes, that's the best. So it was really, really fun. It's nice to get out. I don't always get out. To concert, but when I do, it is a really, really good time. I found a new favorite karaoke song. We karaoke'd a lot. I didn't realize how much I loved karaoke until it was like, can we go back again? And we're like, yes, we're going back to karaoke again. So there was Dave, there was karaoke, there was much whiskey and delicious food and good friends. So it was a good time out. It was nice to take a few days to just kind of refresh. And other than being a bit congested and nasty, I feel like just a bit like, sometimes you need a little time to just run around and be silly with your friends. And I feel like we got to run around and be silly and, run around and be silly in a responsible way. No one was too hungover. I didn't roll an ankle. These are the concerns. Look, man, you get over like 40 and you're like, I want to go out for a night and not hurt myself, which is ridiculous and true. It's true. It's ridiculous and true. So did all the things and really enjoyed a bit of silliness. And then I'm going to run away. And, for the kids said, Emily, you're bearing the lead. You saw Dave. I saw Dave in the wild. I said hello to Dave. He said hello. It was fantastic. We did see Dave in the wild. Look, there's some strategy to this that we won't go into, but we saw Dave in the wild. And that was really fun because we were having drinks and lunch in the hotel where he was leaving to head to the concert. So he walked through the lobby to get into his tour bus. We also said hello to his bus driver, Jerry, and we're like, Jerry, what's up? And we saw the rest of the band leaving to go to the show as well. I saw Stefan in the wild. I didn't cry. I was really proud of myself for holding it together like an adult, even though I wasn't sure that I would. We saw Carter. We saw everybody in the wild. It was just so much fun. And I got to show my friends some of Nashville and some of my favorite places in Nashville. And that was a really good thing too, because it's still a new city for me. So it's kind of fun to show your friends around. Oh, my focus did did something with my hands. And then my camera was like, hey, fuck you. I moved my camera. Sorry, y'all. So with all of that, no, it was me. Focus should be fixed. With all of me, with all of that. It was really fun. But I did see Dave in the wild. His speaking voice is glorious. It doesn't sound much different than his singing voice, but it was just too much. It was great. I'm a nerd. And so it was that's Dave Matthews. Like right there. I don't doubt at some point Dave and I will meet. It will be great. And if all of you want to follow along with my Dave shenanigans, all of the Dave accounts on social, Insta and Twitter and what have you, share the playlist. So if you want to see them, you'll see them there. So with that, we should get into the first story. This is not going to shock you. I feel like it's a quick bit and I like our quick bits bumper. So I'm just going to make that happen. We're just going to quick bit it real quick because our bumper's fun. So we're going to do that. Quick bit. This one really will be quick because we need to talk about Tasha K and Cardi B. Have you been following along with this story? This I haven't covered in a little bit because, it's post jury trial and now it's in the phase of trying to get payment after a jury verdict. Cardi B took YouTuber Tasha K to trial over defamation. Cardi B won. The verdict was over $3.8 million. Tasha K said that, here, let me break down the liability first. Tasha K's liabilities were $3.4 million of the $3.8 million. Only $500,000 was assigned directly to her company. So she got sued and her company got sued. She was living in Georgia at the time she got sued, apparently is now living in Florida. But what we now have is exactly what you are going to be shocked by. Guess what? Guess what happened? Well, she went ahead and filed for bankruptcy and is saying that she cannot afford to pay the judgment. Who saw that coming? Legitimately everybody. Every time I have said, hey, just because you win doesn't mean you collect. I don't think Cardi B cares that she collects, honestly, but I think she's going to keep fighting it because Cardi B is going to be like, we're not going to let this just go. We're not going to let this just go. Emily, share your screen. We're professionals here. Come on. So this is the filing in court. Suggestion of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. Tasha K hereby files this suggestion of bankruptcy on May 25th. The debtor filed a voluntary petition for relief, trying to get out under this court judgment. However, this is a willful defamation. This is a defamation of a celebrity. I don't know if Chapter 11 is going to do it here. The suggestion of bankruptcy is notice for purposes only and does not constitute an appearance in the undersigned case. We're going to go through that bankruptcy petition in just a second because it's going to talk about how much Tasha K makes, how much Tasha K spends, what's going on financially there. But we have a sponsor for today's show. And so we have to take a minute to thank our sponsor. A huge thank you to today's sponsor, Disney Emoji Blitz. When I say that I have been playing this game forever, I've been playing this game for quite a while, and you can too. You can go ahead and download the game right now using the link below or on the screen for any mobile device or tablet. Disney Emoji Blitz is unlike any other match 3 game on the market because each emoji has its own power-up, and you can control what to use, offering a strong layer of strategy to each game that you play. My favorite emoji right now is the addition of Ahsoka Tano because she uses her double lightsabers to yeet multiple rows of stormtroopers. With an incredible collection of Disney and Pixar and Star Wars characters and more being added regularly, you can choose from all different kinds of emojis with different kinds of categories, from silver and gold, rainbow and exclusive, as well as villain emojis. And once you earn emojis, you can send them to your friends in game. Plus, Disney Emoji Blitz is celebrating the 100th anniversary of Disney all year long. There's new platinum emoji to collect every single month. And if you collect them all, you get a special platinum mini. So if you like match games and you love being a collector, this is a game I know that you'll enjoy. And if you're already playing, let me know who your favorite emoji is in the chat. Thank you again, Disney Emoji Blitz, for sponsoring today's stream. All right, let's get back into it. I love seeing that you guys already love this game. It's fantastic. I love it too. I've been playing forever, so when they reached out, I'm like, yes. This is how I decide on things. Do I already use it? Yes? Great. Then we're in. If the answer is no, then we're probably out. All right, let's take a look at this bankruptcy petition. I know it's because the game maker is here for it. We're baby steps, folks, baby steps. And we're here for it. All right, let's take a look at this bankruptcy petition, shall we? Because who doesn't love a good bankruptcy petition? We get to be nosy together. Oh, no, my face is going to block it. All right, I think we're good. All right, this is now filed in the Southern District of Florida regarding Tasha K. I'm not going to zoom through that. Let's see. What are we filing? This is a voluntary petition. Voluntary petition means Tasha K is the one filing it. What we saw with regard to Tom Girardi was an involuntary petition for bankruptcy. In the involuntary petition for bankruptcy, the creditors filed it and were like, we don't think we're going to get paid back. Help. This is her choosing to file a Chapter 11. In the chat, you guys are like, why Chapter 11? It needs to be Chapter 7. I don't know. I don't know if this has been strategized with legal or not. I would have thought it would be a Chapter 7, but here we are. I will pay the entire fee. I will pay the entire fee when I file my petition, so fees will get paid. Have you filed for bankruptcy within the last 8 years? No. Are there any pending bankruptcy cases? No. Do you rent your residence? Yes. Has your landlord obtained an eviction judgment against you? No. So is living in a rental? I don't know if they owned their house in Florida and sold it or what, but that report about any business you own as a sole proprietor. Are you a sole proprietor of any full or part-time business? No, which is interesting. Who else owns the studios? Is that in the name of her and her husband? I wonder. So are you filing under Chapter 11? And are you a small business debtor or a debtor defined? Yes, I'm filing under Chapter 11. I am a debtor according to the section 1182(1) of the bankruptcy code. I choose to proceed under subchapter 5 of Chapter 11. So this is an option. If you're filing Chapter 11, the court must know whether you are a small business debtor or debtor choosing to proceed under subchapter 5. So not filing as a small business, filing under subchapter 5. If you indicate that you are a small business or that you are choosing to proceed under subchapter 5, you must attach your most recent balance sheet, statement of operations, cash flow, etc. So we will see some of that down below. Report if you own or have any hazardous property or property that needs immediate attention. No. Explain your efforts to receive a briefing about credit counseling. I received a briefing from an approved credit counseling agency within 180 days before I filed this petition, and I received a certificate of completion. So went and did the, hey, I did this, I need this is the debt against me, I don't have the money to pay it, which is, I imagine, mostly the judgment. But we'll see. Are your debts primarily consumer debts? Yes, go to line 17. Are you filing Chapter 7? No. How many creditors do you owe? 1 to 49. How much do you estimate your assets to be worth? Net assets are being estimated between 50,000 and 100,000, so not much owned. How much do you estimate your liabilities to be? $1 million to $10 million, though I do know Tasha K had been out of the country. I don't know if Tasha K had gone out of the country and moved things. That's something, of course, that Cardi B is going to be looking at. Here's the thing. When Cardi B's legal team has to track this down, it costs them money every single time. It costs them money every single time to get through this. So the next thing on here listed is a vehicle with the VIN number. Since people can use VIN numbers to get up to fuckery, I'm not going to do anything with that, but it's a Chevy Silverado. Current value of it is listed at $46,000. Then we're going to get to household furnishings. Let's go to these types of properties. Household furnishings at $2,000, a computer and a camera at $500. I imagine most of the property they own for YouTube and what have you is owned by the business. And this is not the business. This is a personal bankruptcy. So collectibles, no. Clothes, yes. Everyday clothes, 2,000 Louis Vuitton purses, 1 Coach purse, limited value, accepted debtor, 2,500. Ring. So 1 engagement ring, 1 wedding band, 2 carats total at 6,000. Let's see. Any other personal or household items, they're giving a value of 11,000 to other household items. A bank account that has $95 in it, a security deposit on the rental for the amount of like $5,000, no annuities, no IRAs, no trusts, no 1 intellectual property, which is Unwind with Tasha K. Let's see, and not much else. Life insurance, it looks like, with USAA, and a bank account with $95 in it. So let's see, total personal assets they have listed as $58,000. That's mostly including the vehicle. And then they're talking about any property that's claimed as exempt, which is all of it. So they're claiming as exempt the vehicle, the property for the home, the computer, and engagement ring. Most of those things will be exempt. They are your kind of personal property, but there's got to be a way to pay some of this off. So let's see. That's the who owns the unsecured, the amount of the car loan through the car lender is more than the value of the car, which is not unusual. Listing debtors, the IRS, YOLO taxes, that's fair to list. A credit card with a balance of like $6,000 on it in personal name, lawyers for attorney's fees, Bank of America. This is another credit card at like $3,000. Let's see. This is the judgment to Cardi B, listed at 3.38 million. Judgment. That's really what they're trying to get out of here. I don't know if she's going to try to get out of what she owes her attorneys. Maybe. They're being listed as creditors here in the bankruptcy. Another credit card at about $5,000. Another attorney. More attorneys. Let's see. I don't know what this is. Mac Anesthesia from 2018, $1,700. So debt for some kind of procedure. Another attorney. Another what looks like a credit account line of credit at $200. Professional account management. That's probably some kind of accounting services or something, I would guess, at $2,000. Progressive looks like auto insurance or some kind of insurance at $300. More attorneys and attorney's fees. And that's about it. The bulk of this claim in the bankruptcy is, of course, the judgment from Cardi B. Now we need to take a look, or should be taking a look, at any co-debtors. She is saying who the co-debtors are, including the business, and who else is listed on the car. But the business being KB Studios, the business also has a judgment against them. So the business is a co-debtor. The business is at this point not filing for bankruptcy. Describe employment, content creator, self-employed for 7 years. And then list gross monthly salary, wages, salary, and commissions from debtor 1 for debtor 2 or non-filing spouse. So Tasha K is listing her monthly income at $3,000. And then the spouse's monthly income at $22,000. So again, listing this as, hey, I'm not employed. So, or not making more than $3,000. For debtor 2, they're also listing debtor 2 as content creator for a different entertainment, and then where that business is located, and that's been for 1 year. And so really everything, it looks like they have shifted. I don't know if this was the situation before, but things are shifted into the spouse, right? So let's see. Copy line 4 here for debtor, $3,000 a month. For non-filing spouse is really what it is, because this is her filing independently. She's talking about how much the spouse makes, and that's listed as like, we don't need. So calculate monthly take-home pay. For her, it's $3,000 a month. For spouse, it is over $17,000 a month. And then they're talking about interest and fees and expenses. So calculate monthly income. They calculated that income at about $30,000 a month of combined monthly income. And then they'll go through expenses for children, for household expenses, for rent, and the rest of it for, internet and et cetera, et cetera. So these are all their expenses that they're listing, and they're listing their monthly expenses about $7,000. This is going to be so the court can start to assess what you need to pay back. So assets at $50,000, expenses monthly at $30,000, and or income at $30,000, expenses at $7,000, and then this judgment, of course, at over $3 million in the bankruptcy. So that is what is being listed here. And then, of course, they are listing income for other years. So Tasha K is listing income from in 2021 at $156,000 a year, in 2022 at $134,000 a year, and so far this year at $11,000. And of course, I'm sure there's been some shifts in YouTube, but I'm sure there's been some strategic shifts as well. And so that is, I'm not going to go through every single page of the bankruptcy, but let's see, there should be some attachments. Let me take a look at these. And of course, these are public filings. These are everyone's being given notice, and those are the only attachments. So it's just the mailing address for everybody that this is being sent to. So again, this drags Cardi B back into court to have to fight as a creditor in the bankruptcy and to argue in court. And now we will see a bankruptcy action where Cardi B will have to come in and argue, hey, this is not dischargeable in bankruptcy. So while we work through the bankruptcy, these were intentional torts. This was an intentional act. It doesn't get discharged. So that is what we're going to see happening in the Tasha K. Cardi B case. This is going to be a fight over money. And I'm not surprised that the business, I imagine Tasha K has shifted almost everything into the business because the business separately owes $500,000. But I wonder if the business also owes joint and several liability for the $3.4 million, which means you're not going to be able to just hide things in the business. Insert funny name. This was a great question. What does non-dischargeable mean? So let's do this real quick. In bankruptcy, you go through the bankruptcy proceedings, and then there are some debts you might not have to pay. So they get resolved and then discharged off. You no longer owe those debts. This happens with medical debt is an easy example. Credit card debt. So if you file bankruptcy with $500,000 of credit card debt, and that gets resolved for, 10 cents on the dollar of that 500,000. Once it gets resolved for that amount in the court, you don't owe the 500,000. You've paid the much smaller percentage, and it's done, and those debts are discharged. They're over. You don't ever have to pay them again. But there are certain things you can go through bankruptcy, and at the end of the day, the debts still exist. So Tasha K is probably trying to get out of any of these judgment payments. And now Cardi B is going to have to spend time and money with the lawyers to go to court and try to fight over the money's being hidden somewhere, or the company can pay because there's joint and several liability there. This just extends the court process. Cardi B can't go directly to collecting judgment. I don't know if Tasha K owned the house in Georgia. Tasha K was living in Georgia before this, now lives in Florida. I don't know if Tasha K owned the house, if it was owned in a trust, if it was owned in their spouse's name, if it was owned by the business. But now Cardi B's lawyers have to go through all of this and try to find if that was sold, where it went. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But the trustees will be digging into all of this and trying to find what's true and what's not true. All right, let's move on to our next story. I have got to cough because I have a tickle in my throat. So give me 30 seconds. Sorry, it's going to be that way today. It just is. It's that kind of a day. Tay, isn't it illegal? Yes, it's illegal to hide money, but things might have been strategized or moved before this judgment, knowing that this might be coming. So it just depends on when things were moved. It can be a problem, which is why this is all like, look, this could happen, this could not happen. I don't know. I don't follow Tasha K on YouTube. I don't know Tasha K's life. I know that there was discussion about whether a house was owned in Georgia earlier on in these legal proceedings. So I don't know. But people saying they own a house, it's not always true. You know, Jen Shaw said she owned her house, or at least it seemed that Jen Shaw was alluding to owning it. Sometimes people don't have property in their names, and that is okay. But if you get a judgment against you, then what? So Katie asked a great question. It's good to see you. Katie's one of our amazing mods. Can her income from her YouTube be garnished? Yes, it can be, but we have to go through all of this first. But yes, they can garnish whatever she's owed. Though if YouTube is paying her business, then they would have to go after the business, and it depends. So if the business is jointly in, you know what? Hold on. Let's just pull up the verdict and see if I can determine if these are joint and several liability real quick. I have the verdict forms. We could just do that. Hold on. Here's what I mean by joint and several liability. It means that Tasha K and her business both lost to Cardi B. But if they are jointly liable, then both Tasha K and her business are liable for the full amount. If they're not, then the business is only responsible for $500K. So if everything's owned in the business name and the business pays the $500K and doesn't pay the rest, and the money from YouTube is going to the business, then it can't be garnished. So, but if then the business is paying Tasha K, then they could have the business garnish it. And the business might be like, well, we're just not paying it. We're just not paying her anymore because it's her business. She can decide what to do. She can be like, I'll pay myself a salary of $1,000 a month or whatever. Let me pull that up, because I know I have the verdict forms and it might say on them if this is joint and several liability. Let's see. We have an injunction that was already signed. Where is the judgment? That's what's going to be most helpful. All right, let's look at the judge's judgment. The judgy judgment. The judgy judgment. The jury having returned, this was filed February 17th, 2022. February 2022. Has Cardi B gotten a dime? No. This is still fighting. The jury having returned its verdict in this case in favor of plaintiff Cardi B and her claims against defendant Tasha K and KB Studios, the court hereby enters judgment in favor of plaintiff Cardi B. The jury awarded plaintiff $1 million for pain and suffering and reputational injury, $250,000 for medical expenses. The parties by stipulation reduced that award to $25,000. The jury found defendants are jointly and severally liable for damages. That means everyone's on the hook. The business and Tasha K. The jury awarded plaintiff $1 million in punitive damages against Tasha K. So that million goes to Tasha K only. But the business still is on the hook for $1 million. So the business is on the hook. Somebody keep a running tally. The business is on the hook for $1 million, jointly and severally with Tasha K. $1,025,000 right now. Tasha K is liable for $1 million separately. The business is liable for $500,000 separately. And then there are attorney's fees in the amount of $1.3 million. Accordingly, judgment is entered in the amount of $1,025,000 for pain and suffering and reputational damages against both defendants. $1 million for punitive damages against Tasha K, $500,000 in punitive damages against the studio, and $1,300,000 in litigation expenses against both. So the company is going to owe this $1 million plus, this $1.3 million plus, and this $500,000 plus. So there's not, the only thing that can really get discharged in bankruptcy if Tasha K is like, personally, I don't have it, is this $1 million. It's going to be much harder to work around the other almost $3 million. Kismet in the chat said 2.8 million total that is joint and several liability. So that's why we want to go see if it's joint and several liability, because Tasha K might be able to discharge $1 million in bankruptcy, but they're not going to be able to get rid of the rest that the business also owes unless the business goes into bankruptcy. So if almost everything is owned by KB Studios is still on the hook for almost $3 million. And if if YouTube pays the studios directly, pays the company, and the company has to pay this, then those can be garnished against the company. But it reduces, the personal bankruptcy can reduce what's owed by $1 million. So that's possible here, to reduce it by $1 million, unless the court says, no, this was an intentional tort and you can't reduce it by anything. So you're still going to have to pay for it, $3,000 a month at a time or whatever it is. I don't think Cardi is going to let it go. That's the sense that I get from all of this. I don't think it's going to just be like, I have a judgment, I won, the court said I won. I think Cardi B is still fully on that fuck around and find out train. You let me know what you think. I don't think Cardi B is letting it go. Let's go talk about non-defamation cases, shall we? So, joint and several liability. Everybody owes. Hopefully that helps. Y'all have learned something about joint and several liability day. All y'all got to pay. All y'all got to pay. And that's what's happening in like Elizabeth Holmes' case. Elizabeth Holmes, by the way, going to prison today. Supposed to be. We'll see what happens. Elizabeth Holmes is supposed to be turning herself into prison by 2 p.m. Central Time this afternoon. Supposed to be going, I think, to the same place Jen Shaw is for Camp Brian. Everyone's named Brian today. So that's what's happening. But with Elizabeth Holmes, her and Sunny Balwani also had joint and several liability. So if she's paying restitution, he's paying restitution. Once it's paid off, it's paid off. If she pays more, it doesn't matter. If he pays more, it doesn't matter. They're both responsible for the whole pot of restitution together. So joint and several liability, that's a very rough, all y'all got to pay. Laundrie Dictionary. All right. Are we ready to go talk about burn after reading? I think we go there next, and then we'll go to Idaho. We've got just a whole day of murderous and allegedly murderous Bryans. I said allegedly murderous Bryans today. I should be nervous about that wood chipper that showed up. I'm teasing. To the left. Let's get to this letter. Hold on. Let me shift over my notes real quick so we can get to that letter. I have not seen an updated ruling by the court, but when it comes up, we will talk about it. I'm sure y'all have seen this letter. I'm sure you have, but we have not had a chance to talk about it. Last week, I covered the civil lawsuit between Gabby Petito's parents and Brian Laundrie's parents. At that series of hearings, we heard arguments on motions to dismiss. The court has taken those under submission or under advisement and will rule on those later in a written ruling. When that written ruling comes out, I will cover it. Then the court went on to the discovery motion with regard to this burn after reading letter. We've heard some of what's in the burn after reading letter, but because both parties didn't want a confidentiality order, they just wanted the court to rule. The court's like, all right, turn the letter over. These are all arguments for a motion in limine. Turn the letter over. And after the letter got turned over, it got turned right over to Hey JB over at WFLA. So we're going to go to WFLA's reporting on it. However, People Magazine has better pictures of it. Sorry, WFLA. The pictures were easier and I'm very visual because I have no mind's eye. So I needed to see the pictures. WFLA also has some pictures and we'll go to their reporting next. They had it first. So Gabby Petito's parents got the letter turned over to them that day in court. And then now the letter has made the rounds. Some of you have probably already seen numerous videos on it and lots about it. We're going to go over it together. What I want to talk about too is your interpretation of this letter. We might do some polls on it. And will this letter be used in court? Just as a reminder, this is coming up in the context of a civil case. The parents of Gabby Petito are suing the parents of Brian Laundrie for intentional infliction of emotional distress. They are also suing the lawyer, Stephen Bertolino. I'm not even sure how that's going to go. This is not an easy civil lawsuit. This isn't one of those civil lawsuits that you look at and go, good luck with all of that. This is a novel use of this cause of action. This has not been used in this way, to my knowledge, ever. I've not seen it. This is a difficult theory of law to take to a jury. We have not gotten past motions for summary judgment. We have not gotten into all of the facts of this case. This case still may never see a jury. But if this case does see a jury with this letter, woo, bitch, I don't know what's going to happen with that, because this letter, I think, does not look great. But everything's open to interpretation. So I know a lot of people want justice, and it feels, particularly when someone is murdered and then the person who killed them is also gone, it feels like there's no finality to it, right? It feels like there's no justice to it. And I know that people still want justice for Gabby Petito. This civil case, I think the justice in this civil case is bringing information to light. I don't know if a jury verdict is even what the Petito family is hoping for. I think in this case, the Petito family is hoping for answers and more answers, and to bring those answers to light publicly. I think that's really the goal of this case. This case might never get to a jury. And so if you are waiting, you personally, Laundrie, if you are waiting for closure with this case through a jury verdict in this civil matter, you might not get it. And I would just suggest that hoping for more answers is really the most realistic outcome in this case, that with a discovery process, there will be more answers. And that might be what is being sought here more, that a deposition is what they want, that sitting down in a deposition with the Laundries and getting them under oath to give answers might be exactly what they are seeking. We as a public might never know that. And we are going to have to be okay with that we might never get closure on this. And the closure that the public gets is that, well, now this letter is becoming public and we've learned more about this case. So just a warning to all, don't wait too eagerly for this to go to trial, because it very well may not. That's all. I don't want you to get your hopes up. Let's take a look at this letter, and then we're going to go through some of the reporting on the letter. Context. Did we give context? Oh, the argument about this letter, and you can go watch Quick Bits, and you can go watch the podcast for last week if you're interested. The podcast for last week really goes through the legal that got us here. Roberta Laundrie gave an affidavit that said that this letter, undated, was written before the road trip. The Petitos are saying that's an argument for the jury. It's undated. So really you can't decide when it was written, that's for a fact finder to decide. And Roberta Laundrie is not the fact finder. So as we're going through this, I'm going to ask you at the end if you think that this was written before or after. And what we don't know, and I've seen lots of speculation, but I have not seen fact. What we don't know yet is exactly where this letter was found. What I have seen pretty consistently is that the FBI found this before Brian Laundrie was recovered. This was not on his possession when his remains and his possessions were discovered. So it is my belief and speculation. Those are speculation chimes right now. That this was probably found in one of the vehicles. I don't know which one. Okay? Let's take a look at this letter. So this seems to be the front of it. And what I think about the letter might shift knowing where it's found. I want to know. What kind of bird is this? I don't know. Doesn't quite look like a raven, kind of does. So this is the front of the letter. Nope. Where'd the rest of it go? There it is. Brian Christopher Laundrie, burn after reading. This seems to be the back of an envelope, but I don't see like an envelope, like a flap. So I don't know if it was like a slip pocket. Is it a mockingbird? Chat, who said it's a jailbird? It's an angry bird. It is an angry bird. Mockingbird, magpie, crow. I might go with jailbird. He does kind of have stripes. Raven, Chad, I love you the most. You guys are the best. Thank you. It's a folded piece of paper. Okay. So folded piece of paper, is the bird a stamp then? Do we think the bird's a stamp? Maybe. Maybe it's a stamp. I thought it was an envelope, but it makes more sense if it's a folded over piece of paper. Thanks, chat. I think it's a stamp. It could be sketched, but it looks like a stamp to me. But you never know. All right. It's a birdolino. That's funny. Oh, chat. It's definitely not a Flappy Bird. Agreed. It's not a Flappy Bird. Alrighty. Inside the letter, this is the handwriting, what the handwriting looks like. And we will go through the handwriting together. All right, you ready? You're saying crow as in a murder of crows, mockingbird as in to kill a mockingbird. There's lots of bird references here. I like it. All righty. Here's the letter. Remember, this letter is from a mother to her adult son. There is much debate about the timing of when the letter was written. I just want you to remember, I will always love you. Song originally written by Dolly Parton, which I did not know for a very long time. I was unaware that it was originally written by Dolly Parton. But anyway, I just want you to remember I will always love you, and I know you will always love me. You are my boy. Nothing can make me stop loving you. Nothing will or could ever divide us. No matter what we do or where we go or what we say, we will always love each other. If you're in jail, I will bake a cake with a file in it. If you need to dispose of a body, I will, and then it says bring, and then it's crossed out, and then it says show up with a shovel and garbage bags. Not bring, crossed out. Show up with shovel and garbage bags. If you fly to the moon, I will be watching the skies for your re-entry. If you say you hate my guts, I will get new guts. Remember that love is a verb, not a noun. It is not a thing. It is not words. It is actions. Watch people's actions to know if they love you, not their words. Quote, there are quotation marks. That's what I'm saying. Quote, therefore I am certain that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor the ruling spirits, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers from above, nor powers from below, nothing in the entire created world can separate our love. Neither hostile powers, nor messages of heaven, nor monarchs of earth, nothing, I think that says, has the power to separate us, end quote. And it says Romans 8:38, extended version, exclamation point. Though this doesn't seem like a parental love kind of a paragraph, it's a miss for me. And then it goes on to say, nothing can separate us, not hatred, not hunger, not homelessness, not threats, not even sin, not the thinkable or unthinkable can get between us. Not time, not miles and miles and miles. Here's where we're at for me. Y'all come here because you want my take. Sometimes I give my take. Sometimes I don't, and I just ask you what you think. Speaking of, my mother is calling me. Oh, hold on. Mom, I'm streaming. I'm reading a very strange letter from Roberta Laundrie to her son. It's very odd. Yes, I can. Okay, I will call you after I stream. All right. Love you, Mom. Bye. My phone rang like 3 times, and I was like, is it an emergency? It is an emergency. My mom's airfare flights have been changed for our family vacation, and it is causing much stress. So, like, Mom, I promise I'll call you back. But when somebody calls multiple times, it's like, do I need to stop streaming and get on a plane? All right, but it's fine. So this is a very odd letter between a mom and son, said from someone who is a mom that has sons. But here's the thing that's weird for me. First, the nothing can separate us, not hatred, not hunger, not homelessness, not threats, not even sin, not the thinkable or unthinkable. To me, it's giving written after Gabby Petito was killed, before Brian Laundrie goes on the run. She says, not time, not miles and miles and miles. I think that end of the letter is written knowing that he is going to run and take this letter with him as he runs. Because at that point, there is hatred towards the Laundries. There are threats towards the Laundries. Brian is facing possibly hunger and homelessness because he is going on the run. Not even sin. Murder counts, I believe, as sin, like the big one. Not the thinkable or unthinkable. I also would count murder as unthinkable. Can get between us. Not time, going on the run. Not miles and miles and miles. Though, could that count if they're traveling before? If this is given to him before he goes on the road trip, and if this is given to him before he goes on the road trip, then is this because, look, hang with me. Roberta Laundrie said they were fighting leading up to the road trip. Are they fighting over his relationship with Gabby? Is that what the fight is? And if that's what the fight is this in reference to their road trip? But then what is the hatred? Is Roberta Laundrie trying to get them not to be engaged, not to go on this road trip, and not to be together? And is that because she does not like the relationship between the two of them? Is that a possible interpretation of this? That she doesn't want them to be together. And she wants him and Gabby to not be engaged, and she wants him to what? Stay at home with them and not go on this road trip. So is the hatred referred to them fighting over Gabby Petito? Is the hatred them, then what's the thinkable and unthinkable, right? But could that be an interpretation of this? Because going on a trip, time and miles and miles and miles makes sense for a long road trip like this. Is this a mother realizing that, you know, her son is moving on in life and she's not dealing well with that? I don't know. I don't know what that's like. My kids have not left home. I imagine it could be really weird. I don't know if it's, if you hate my guts, I'll get new guts. I feel like my kids would be like, Mom, weird. Fuck, what? Cringe, Mom. So I don't know. But if you're in jail, I will bake a cake with a file in it. If you need to dispose of a body, I will bring/show up with a shovel and garbage bags. Feels so on the nose. It's so weird. Because we know what happens next. Were there any issues of violence in this relationship before? Had Roberta Laundrie seen any indications of violence in this relationship before they went on the road trip? I don't know. So I'm going to ask you guys in the chat if you think this was written before the road trip. When was the letter? Don't worry, I'll give you a don't know. When was the letter written? Before road trip? After murder? Oh, I don't know. I would love it if you would try to pick one, but I'm not going to force you to if you can't. Because it's so specific. Right? So I'm curious what you think. If you're sitting in a jury trying to decide when this letter was written, the conversations the jury's going to have Well, they're going to want to know where it was found by the FBI, right? Because it was found before Brian's body was found, is all the reporting I've seen. Though I've seen speculation it was found with his things. This is way too clean to be found with his backpack. Though we did have a waterproof bag, but this is in very good condition. So I tend to believe it was found in one of the vehicles, and not found with his other things. I would love to see the original of this. If I am the attorney for the Petito family, I would love to see more of it. But it is undated. I wanted to know if there was anything. I mean, she doesn't sign her name to it. It doesn't say love mom or anything like that. It's in her handwriting. She admits that she writes it. She puts his name on it, burn after reading. But she doesn't put her name on it. Why? Why not? Why not put her name on it? Why not put mom on it? It's an interesting thing. So I don't know if could you argue if you're the attorney for the Laundries? I know none of you want to be, but could you argue? Where'd it go? Remember that love is a verb, not a noun. It's not a thing. It's not words. It's just action, or it is actions. Watch people's actions to know if they love you, not their words. Is that going to his relationship with Gabby? Is that what they were fighting with or fighting about? Were Brian and his mother fighting about his relationship before the road trip? And if they were fighting before the road trip, then what is that? I don't know. So again, we've got the Bible quote, but the Bible quote isn't really it for me in this. It's the end. Nothing can separate us. Nothing can separate us. Not hatred, not hunger, not homelessness, not threats, not even sin, not the thinkable or unthinkable can get between us. Is that please, when you go on the lam, don't take your own life. We've got you. We've got you. We, your family, have you. Nothing can keep me apart from you. And referencing the unthinkable. And I mean, it's a strange thing, but I also think there is room to argue, and of course there will be argued that they were fighting before the road trip, and this is what she sent him on the road trip with. The I've got you no matter what happens. And maybe she knew that there were problems in this relationship before the road trip, and maybe knew that things could get bad on the road trip. I mean, I don't imagine, and I'm not suggesting or even speculating that she knew that it could get this bad, that it could get to the point where he murders his fiance. I don't think she thought that, but I think she thought it could get bad. So what did she know about their relationship? Gabby and Brian lived with them. They lived with them. So what did she see when they were living together before they left on the road trip? Carrie Ferguson in the chat makes a good point. The sin reference could be sex before marriage, sleeping in the van. That is a good point. This seems to be I forget that bothers people. I'm sorry. This is why we need all different perspectives, because I forget, right? But that's a good point too. That's a good point too, that this is just arguing that, look, y'all are going to live in a van together, living in sin before you get married. Yeah, maybe. But the shovel and the garbage bag, it's just so visceral, right? They did live together before the trip, but they lived with the parents, right? So, do we know where the letter was found? No. I think it was found. I know it was found before Brian Laundrie's remains and belongings were recovered, but I'm not sure where it was found. I'm not sure which car it was found in, but the FBI found it. I'm assuming it was in one of the cars. Could it have been inside the Laundrie's house? Yes, they searched there too. So I'm not sure. So with all of that, I'm going to go look at WFLA's reporting on this and see if they had anything to add, because they were the first that had the letter. Let's see if we can just go to, oh, so many ads. All right. Brian Laundrie's mother offered her son a shovel and a garbage bags if he needed to dispose of a body, according to a letter obtained by Gabby Petito's family after the judge's ruling Wednesday in Florida. The infamous burn after reading letter, which had become a focal point of the civil lawsuit filed by the Petito's family against the Laundries and their attorney, Stephen Bertolino, was released to WFLA Now's JB. How do I pronounce JB's last name? I've started calling JB, hey JB. I realize JB has a last name, but I'm not going to, JB, I don't want to offend you by pronouncing your last name wrong. Bruno. You don't talk about Bruno, but we do talk about JB. I don't know. Either way, I've been referring to JB by hey JB as if it is his full name. By the Petito family Wednesday evening. The release comes after Judge Daniel Brewer denied a motion of protection against the letter's inclusion in the discovery process as the two families head to a civil trial next year. Here's a transcript of the letter. We already went over the letter. We saw the pictures of the letter. I've got words said, according to JB and Pat Riley, it was found in the van originally, then in Brian's backpack by his remains. I don't see how both can happen. Like Bruno without the R. Okay, so I was right when I got to Bruno, sort of. I am interested, because if it's in the car, if it's in the van, it wouldn't have gotten into, how would it have gotten into the backpack? Because that's different. It's weird. So, Bruno. My parents didn't date, nothing. I mean, and that's true too. I thought it was in the backpack by his body. I thought it was in the vehicles. So again, I've seen both regularly reported that this letter was found before the backpack. All right. I will look into it more, because we see there were lots and lots of conversation about where it was found. So backpack by the FBI, it would have to be in a dry bag. I mean, I guess if it's in the dry, it was in the dry bag. I'll have to go look. Let's see if this article clears it up for us. Because again, where it's found matters. And his mom did say in her affidavit, I'm glad he held on to it, or she was touched that he held on to it. The letter makes no mention of Gabby Petito. It also does not include a date or reference to when it might have been written. In a statement released by their Florida attorney, Matthew Luca, Wednesday night, the Laundries maintained their insistence that the letter has nothing to do with Gabby Petito. The letter to Brian was written prior to Gabby and Brian leaving my home for their trip, Roberta said in the statement. Previously, I submitted an affidavit to the court for very limited purpose. Oh, okay, let's just stamp our statement by Roberta Laundrie after the letter's now been released to the media. So this is after the letter's been released to the media. Roberta Laundrie said that previously I'd submitted an affidavit to the court for the very limited purpose, but that is not the whole story. Now that the letter has been shared, I ask that you read it in its entirety. Does that help? And understand that the letter contains other phrases beside those highlighted by Pat Riley for sensationalism and to bolster his case. Meet lawyers. I truly loved my son and simply wanted to convey to him how much he meant to me and how much I loved him. I am sure people use phrases all the time to express their loved ones, the depths of their love. Although I chose words that I thought would be impactful with Brian given our relationship, the letter was in no way related to Gabby. Please read the entire letter before you believe the hype put out by Pat Riley. Well, we read the letter. Y'all get to decide. Is it hype? Is the letter worse in its entirety or better? Let's ask that. All right. 67% of you said you think it was written after the murder. 17% of you say before the road trip. 16% of you are like, I don't know. All right. Let's ask one more question. Now you have read the entire letter. I don't know how to phrase this. Now you've read the entire letter. It's worse in full. It's not as bad for the Laundries in full. I ran out of space. It's not as bad. When I say it's not as bad in full, I mean it doesn't look as bad for the laundries. So what we got is the shovel and the file remarks. Now we have all of it. As bad as before. So neutral. All right. Let's ask y'all what you think. And I'll keep reading this. In an affidavit to the court, here. Exactly how the letter was obtained by the FBI is unclear. While Petito attorney Pat Riley most recently said it was discovered by the FBI in the Laundrie's backpack near his remains, Bertolino says the letter had already been taken into the FBI's possession for weeks when the manhunt for Laundrie ended in Florida's Carlton Reserve. So that's okay. Here's our clarification. Here's our clarification. Two attorneys have said two totally different things about when it was recovered. Bertolino was involved in the case at the time. I'm kind of going with Bertolino's on this. If I'm going to have to go with one or the other, I'm with Bertolino. But here's where I'm at. It is unclear where the letter was recovered because two attorneys have said two totally different things. Also, the other things recovered from the dry bag were in much worse condition than this letter. Look at this letter. This letter is not in the type of condition that other things in that dry bag were in. This letter does not look worn. The edges are not crumpled. This letter does not have a wrinkle in it. It is easier for me to believe that this letter was found in a vehicle, not in the dry bag. So I don't know if the letter was found in the dry bag. Two different lawyers said two different things, but Bertolino said the letter had been in the FBI's possession for weeks when the manhunt for Laundrie ended. Based on the condition of the letter, I would say it was probably found before, but we don't know. So it is still, here is the best phrase. It is unclear where the letter was recovered from. I just completely lost my place. So that's where I'm at. It's unclear when and where the letter was recovered. In an affidavit written to the court, Roberta claimed the letter was written before Brian and Gabby's cross-country trip that began in July 2021. Although I do not know the exact date I wrote the letter, I do know that I wrote it and gave it to Brian before Brian and Gabby left Florida for New York, which was on June 2nd, 2021. And I've covered the rest of that. My words to Brian were meant to convey my love and support for my son through a lighthearted, quirky reminder that my love for him was not diminished and could not be shaken by the miles of separation we would soon be faced with. Does that letter read quirky to you, chat? Is quirky the word you would have picked first? And it's really hard to go back and unsee everything we know now, right? You can't go back. But was this a lighthearted, quirky letter? It didn't feel lighthearted. Even if it was written before, it still felt heavy and a skooge manipulative. Like, I am your mother. I bled for you. I love you till I die. Given that they were fighting at the time, this letter felt at least manipulative to me, but it doesn't feel light and quirky in any circumstance. And if this is what Roberta Laundrie thinks is quirky, I've got a lot of questions. You know, she didn't say, hey, so our family leans into gallows humor, and this is our family's humor. Our family's humor is a bit dark. Because I get that. But that's not what she said. She said lighthearted and quirky. If this was like, so we joke about fucked up shit, say it, right? Hey, our family, we have a little bit of a dark sense of humor here, and I'm all for a dark sense of humor. I get it, but that's not what she said. She said lighthearted and quirky. What that letter is not is lighthearted and quirky. It's more emo than most of the music written in the early 2000s. All right. Attorney Pat Riley at Wednesday's court hearing in Sarasota County Circuit Court argued it should be for a jury to decide the letter's relevance. If we get that far, the jury can decide when it's written. That letter is heavy. I agree with you. It's the letter's weird for me, man. Knowing everything we know, and it's hard, but knowing everything that we know, that letter is heavy. You guys are like quirky like Morrissey. It's a heavy letter. A lot of you in the chat are parents. There are other ways I express my love to my children, but again, everyone's expression of love is different. But in the context, this is going to be hard to undo. Look, here's my note to all of you. We saw this in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and we'll see this in other cases as well. When things are written in context to friends and they are not meant to see the light of day, they will be pulled out and they will be argued by lawyers, and different sentences will be grabbed. You saw Rottenborn going over and over and over again. Did I read that correctly? I have other uses for your throat. And all of us in the chat were like, Rottenborn, that text message is clearly about blowjobs. What is wrong with you? That text message is clearly, even within the context of the text, not meant as literal. It's meant as sexy. Come on now, Rottenborn. But you saw Rottenborn arguing to a jury that this text message means literal harm. It means literal assault. And that's what happens if these things go to court. If these things go to court, they will be taken out and they will be argued with. Roberta Laundrie's lawyer is going to say burn after reading was an inside joke. The Petito family lawyer is going to say burn after reading was she didn't want anyone else to write this because she was telling her son, it doesn't matter that you've murdered, we're here for you. Or, hey, you've done the unthinkable. We're still here for you. Don't take your own life. If this letter's written after and she's, sending him off with this as he is, because some believe that she sent him off to go on the run and was trying to help him, then if she's sending him off, this is the letter to like, we still love you. We're still here for you. Don't take your own life. Or maybe this is a reference to knowing that he's going to take his own life. And that's what the unthinkable is being referenced. Or that's the sin that's being referenced. That they've already gotten past the, if you need to bury a body, I'll bring a bag. Or maybe the argument is, why would you even say that if you know that the murder has already happened? Then why? So it's an odd thing. And this is going to get argued possibly in front of a jury. And it's going to be hard for the jury to put aside everything they know. Right? So with that is the burn after reading letter. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover about that. Let's see. Let me go do one last check because it happens that the court drops things while we're live and see if there's a ruling. There wasn't this morning, so I doubt that there is, or we probably would have heard. But let me just go double check because I hate it when I finish streaming and I'm like, God, if only I had known. It's rare that it happens, but it does sometimes. So let's go check the records real quick and see. Oh, I hate these CAPTCHAs. I get it. I get that the CAPTCHAs are here to like defeat the AI and the robots and whatever, but I mean, it's helpful. I don't need all the robots buying all the tickets to all the concerts. This is why we need to defeat the robots with CAPTCHA, is so they can't just buy concert tickets faster than me. Unless it's my robot. Do you think if I had my own robot, it could get concert tickets faster? So no, there is nothing other than the court appearance record. We'll go through that real quick. This is the last thing I wanted to go through anyway. And then we will move ourselves on. We have lots to talk about with the other Brian. All right, court appearance record. This is from the 24th. This clerk has very nice handwriting, very easy to read. All right. Appearance attorney, Pat Riley. Court reporter, Susan Potts. Attorney, Matthew Luca. Other attorneys, motions, defendants motion, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie's motion to dismiss second amended complaint. Stephen Bertolino motion to dismiss second amended complaint. Defendant's motion for protective order. And then they have the rulings. So the first one's taken under advisement. The second one denied. The third one denied. And that is it. Court comment. Court will file her order as to motions to dismiss once ruling has been made. That's all. So that is the final order in court. All right. Are we ready to move on? I think we are ready to move on. I am ready to move on from Florida to Idaho. Yes? Yes, indeed. Yes, Miguelina, go ahead and end the poll to see how everybody feels about the letter. Um, let's see what our results are. Now that you've read the entire letter, it's worse in full, 57%. It's as bad as before, didn't change, 33%. It's not as bad in full, 8%, with over 3,000 votes. I think it's worse because in full it talks about the thinkable and the unthinkable, and we have more about the garbage bags. Like, I don't think you read the whole thing and go, oh, I see where you're going with that. Just not as much. Just not as much. All right, Kohberger, what should we talk about first? Let's talk about this new grand jury, shall we? Let's do that first. I'm gonna go ahead and swoop. I'm gonna take 30 seconds to blow my nose. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to survive, truly. Let's swoop. Let's give you guys a music bed. Take a stretch. Hydrate. Give me 30 seconds to blow my nose. All right. Did y'all hydrate? Did y'all hydrate? Hopefully y'all hydrated. Oh, hopefully you're all hydrated and well. Let us get to, I've taken Claritin. I've done all the things. I've done all the things. I am still just, I have a cold. It is what it is. Let's talk about, maybe I should swoop again. This is when I should swoop. Miguelina, let's redo the swoop so I don't swoop to me blowing my nose. Somebody in the replay crew, of you, is going to go to that timestamp and be like, what the fuck did I just walk into? So here we go. Let's talk about Idaho. All right. Going to Idaho, we are going to be talking about the newest filings in the Brian Laundrie. No, this is going to happen all day. The Brian Kohberger prosecution. And we are going to be talking about reports that originated with CNN about Brian Kohberger's parents being called as witnesses to a grand jury and what that means. If you will remember, in the podcast a number of weeks ago, it could have been more, times a construct, months ago, I talked about the two different district attorneys in Pennsylvania who said, we at this time don't suspect Brian Kohberger to be connected to any other murders or disappearances in the area. Well, now we see news that his parents are being called before an investigative grand jury. We're going to go through CNN's reporting. We're going to talk about what that means and what it doesn't mean. Because again, with all of these things, a lot can be read into it, but that's not necessarily the case. So this is first on CNN. Parents of Idaho student murder suspect have been subpoenaed to testify before Pennsylvania grand jury. The parents of Brian Kohberger have been subpoenaed to testify before a Monroe County, Pennsylvania investigative grand jury. We'll talk about what that means in a second, according to a source familiar with the situation. Curious as to who that source is. We only have one source, and I'm very curious as to who that source is. Kohberger's father is expected to testify before the impaneled grand jury in a sealed proceeding. All grand juries are sealed in Pennsylvania Thursday, according to the source. His mother previously testified before the secretive panel, the source said. The parents of the man indicted for the killings of 4 University of Idaho students were subpoenaed in the Pennsylvania jurisdiction where they live and where Brian Kohberger was arrested last December. Their compelled testimony under oath may be shared with prosecutors in Idaho, according to the source. That's speculative. Pennsylvania law allows judges to release transcripts of witness testimony before grand juries to other investigative agencies after a court hearing, which is good to know. An attorney representing Kohberger's parents tried unsuccessfully to have the subpoenas quashed, the source said. Squashed, don't have to appear. That clearly didn't happen. The attorney retained by the Kohbergers declined to comment to CNN about the grand jury proceedings, I imagine. The Latah County Prosecutor's Office declined to comment to CNN, citing the gag order, of course. By law, the Monroe County Grand Jury can only review potential crimes that occurred within Monroe County, Pennsylvania. It's unclear what potential crime they are investigating. Grand jury proceedings are secretive by nature, and documents related to the proceeding are sealed. Yep. And then this gets into the Kohberger prosecution in Idaho, which we know. So, Stella had said, "What about your right to remain silent?" It seems, this is a great question. It seems that they are not the targets of this grand jury. So, if they are witnesses, there's not a lot they can plead the fifth to because they are not the ones who are being investigated. So that is why they would need to have their lawyers there to try to help them navigate what that looks like and help them navigate that when they can and cannot plead the fifth. So it is a right against self-incrimination. But if they are not incriminating themselves, there's little they can plead the fifth to at an investigative grand jury. So an investigative grand jury can return indictments, but it can just be there to investigate a case and not return an indictment. It can be there to just gather information, and then another grand jury is convened to indict or not indict. So an investigative grand jury asks questions, says, "Hey, okay, we've seen this. Now we need to talk to these other people. Go get them and bring them in. We want to talk to them." They really get to say, "I have questions." And that being on an investigative grand jury would be so fucking cool. Because you really are serving an Hey, I want to know what the text messages say. Can you go get the text messages? Bring those to us. Hey, what do cell phone pings say? We need to know that. Hey, what do these witnesses say? We want to hear them. So it could be related. It could be not related. It could be related to Idaho. It could be not related to Idaho. It could be something that happened in their neighborhood. That's one hell of a coincidence, isn't it? That's a weird coincidence. Or it could be that the investigative grand jury has heard enough about Brian Kohberger, knows that he lives there, and really just wants to ask the questions. This is not necessarily that they're going to indict. They can ask more. So this could be unrelated to anything in Idaho. It could be related to Idaho, but the fact that they're being called in as witnesses indicates to me that they are not the targets of this grand jury. Because if they were the targets of this grand jury, they would not be called in to testify. So I don't think the parents are the target. This could be absolutely nothing. This could be something that we see 6 months from now or more. Investigative grand juries don't always indict. They investigate. But it is an odd coincidence. Though if they are investigating someone who went missing, or if they are investigating another homicide in the area and they have heard about Brian Kohberger, and they might call in the parents and be like, "Hey, where was your son during this?" "Oh, well, I can show you that he was at school during this time." It might just be that they wanted to close that loop. So it's an odd coincidence, but whatever they're investigating, they are investigating something that happened in Pennsylvania. Though it could be financial crimes. But I don't believe, based on this, that they are investigating the parents. If they were investigating the parents, then the parents wouldn't be witnesses. So I think take all of this with a big grain of speculation. Know that what I hate seeing is people being like, "Oh, look, Brian Kohberger is involved in other things." We don't know yet. There is a grand jury somewhere asking more questions. And that's all we know. And I think that's safe to say, hey, there is a grand jury somewhere that's asking more questions. And that's fair. They're allowed to do that. Who convenes this grand jury? I don't know who convened this grand jury. Grand juries can be convened by federal or state prosecutorial authorities. So whether this is the local, and we've heard from the Monroe County, where are my notes? We've heard from the Monroe County prosecutor that said at the time they did not believe that there were any cases connected to Kohberger that had happened in their area. So we'll see. This could be This could be a whole lot of nothing. But of course, Brian Kohberger's parents being pulled in as witnesses to an investigative grand jury while he's also pending trial for a quadruple homicide is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's something, of course, it's going to be reported on. But at the end of the day, it could be nothing. And that's where there's room for a conversation about the gag order. Does the gag order help here? Because if it's not related and the prosecutor in Latah County could just say these are unrelated, wouldn't it make it better for Brian Kohberger if people could just say these are unrelated? Like, wouldn't that be more helpful? But we'll see. You guys have a lot of questions. We will get to questions after we finish this. So lots of questions. We will get to them after this. All right. Let us get to the new filings in Idaho, and then we will get to Q&A. All right. Stella ahead. Don't be embarrassed. I write things wrong all the time. Don't be embarrassed here. Look, most of us are so neurodivergent we don't even notice. Our brains just fill things in. Please don't be embarrassed. This chat is a safe space. Ting said, do they select people for a grand jury the same way as a quote unquote normal trial to eliminate bias? The voir dire sometimes is more in depth than the voir dire with a trial. So yes, they voir dire them, but sometimes the voir dire is more in depth because they have them for a different purpose. But also a grand jury, though they can indict someone or they can investigate someone, they are not convicting someone ever. So even whatever a grand jury does, it will oftentimes see another jury down the road if it goes to trial. All right. Amora in the chat said they were investigating the death of Dana Smithers. They already confirmed. I don't know who they is that confirmed, but I will take a look if the investigative grand jury has already or if someone has confirmed what the investigative grand jury was looking at. They might be. There might be. Desmond and their queer dragons. Our brains are quirky. Our brains are quirky. Our brains are quirky and lighthearted. That's what's happening with our neurospicy brains. Quirky. We're quirky. So let me see if there's any follow-up reporting on that. Let's see. Kohberger. Excuse me, my snot. I just apologize. I apologize for all of this that's going on here. Let's see. Where is the most updated reporting on this? I'm not seeing anything updated. So I will have to go hunt around for this because I see everything is a little bit old and nothing is showing me exactly what it is. So if you guys see it, tag me in it and we will see what the grand jury is looking at. But again, Brian Kohberger might not be the target of that grand jury. They might be trying to eliminate him as a target. That is also very possible. All right. Let's go to the most recent court orders, court minutes, and then investigative orders, because none of these were available last time. So let's go to all the filings in Idaho. Swoop. All right. Come here. No. Now everything's going to be spicy. My throat is being spicy. My brain is being spicy. My snot is being spicy. Everything's being spicy. I probably need something spicy to clear out what's going on in my face. All right. This is from May 22nd. These are the minutes or the minute order from the hearings. Hearing start time 9:09 a.m. This being the time set pursuant to the order for the court. The 9:10, the court introduced itself to all parties, both present in the courtroom and on Zoom. Excuse me. The court informed the defendant of his rights and the defendant as a defendant in a criminal case. Excuse me. Now we need throat spray. This is delightful. Today is delightful. I need this to stop. In response to an inquiry from the court, defendant stated he understood his rights and did not need them explained in further detail. In response to an inquiry from the court, the defendant stated he had received a copy of the indictment further stating his name, date of birth, last four of his social. The court informed the defendant of the charges against him. All of the charges. The court noted the indictment was signed May 16th by the presiding grand juror. In response to an inquiry for the court, defendant stated he understood all 5 charges, penalties, and his rights. In response from inquiry from the court, Ms. Taylor, his attorney, stated the defendant will stand silent at this time. The court entered not guilty pleas. The court informed all parties that the state has 60 days to file notice whether they intend to pursue the death penalty, and defendant has a constitutional right to a speedy trial. Moved to set the case towards the end of the speedy trial deadline. The speedy trial runs out approximately November 22nd. So this case within the speedy trial deadline must go to trial before, or must start trial, that means jury selection, by November 22nd, 2023. Of course, note that the defendant can waive this later. This can still change. I think it's an outside chance that this trial goes to trial the date that it's set, but it could. They all agree to an October trial date. The court sets the trial date for October 2nd. Neither counsel has any further matters to address. The court clarified the preliminary hearing set for June 26th is off calendar. So that's the minute order from the arraignment. Let's see. There is an updated custody order. Next court date set for June 9th. We don't need to go through that. June 9th is the next hearing date. Court minutes from the subsequent hearing. Hearing start time 10:21 a.m. This is with regard to all of the gag order motions. 10:21, court noted all participating parties. Court informed the parties this is the time set for the scheduling conference. Court noted Mr. Carone will represent the AP. There was a connectivity issue via Zoom. Court recognized Mr. Shannon Gray represents the Gonsalves family and noted it would not hold a motion to compel. Hearing previously set for 11 a.m. will address those issues at this hearing. The court was in recess to allow everyone to connect properly to Zoom. And then it goes through the rest of the court hearing. And then the hearing scheduling. We watched the whole hearing, so I'm not going to go through all the court minutes because it would take too long and I want to get to questions. But we went through that entire hearing. Those minutes are very thorough. The court issued their notice of hearing for the jury trial. They listed the jury trial for 6 weeks. October 2nd to November 12th is what they listed for jury trial. They noticed the hearing for June 9th, which I will cover live here, for the Gonsalves family motion. And then there is a motion to compel set for June 27th, which I covered. Then there is a motion for June 9th in the afternoon. What I think I will do, y'all let me know if this works for you. What I think I will do is set a stream for a little bit later in the day so that I can cover the morning hearing and the afternoon hearing together back to back for the different for the 2 different gag order motions, so we can just cover them both. Otherwise, we would have to do 2 separate streams. I think I'd rather just do one stream a little bit later. Does that work for everybody, chat? You let me know. Miguelina, let me know what you think. I think just doing the one stream works better than trying to do 2 streams, and we can all just handle it at once. That makes more sense. Thanks, chat, for being helpers in my decision making. I appreciate it. So the briefing schedule has been set. We should start hearing some briefing at the end of this week. Of course, I will be at Dave Matthews at the end of this week in another state. So I will cover it early next week. Let's see. Yes, and then we can stream the hearings a little fast as well, which I always like doing. It's always nice to be able to speed the lawyers up, and then I can pause a little to chat. So the hearing's next Friday. So we'll be able to cover the briefing schedule on Tuesday, and then, or even on Thursday, and then cover the hearings on Friday. So I'll set that aside. Maybe we'll just cover all the briefing on Thursday. Sound good? So June 8th, we'll cover the briefing. June 9th, we'll cover the hearing, and then it's all fresh in everybody's mind. Great. Thanks, chat. Y'all are helpful decision makers. So next week will be a bunch of streams. This week, this is my only stream. Next week is a bunch of stream. Boo in the chat said, more Dave? Yeah, always more Dave. Always more Dave. Always more Dave. I've actually reined it in a little. I've reined in the amount of shows I'm going to this summer. I'm only subject to change. I'm only planning right now to going to 4, which is like it's restrained. It's restrained. 4 is a positively restrained number of Dave shows. Also, going to concerts has gotten so expensive that there's a part of me that's like, so yes, I will be going. Data insights. I appreciate that you remember. I will be at shows 56 and 57 this weekend, and then 58 later in the summer. I should just go to 2 more and like bang it out to 60 this summer, maybe. I mean, we're already going to 4. Maybe I just need 1 more. Maybe I'll go to California. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. I kind of love going to the non-California shows earlier in the tour. It's fun. There's a whole situation there. I'll talk about my concert going decision making later. We need to look at for the state's request for discovery. Will you say Dave Matt? I haven't planned to see Dave in Jersey, but I should. Wait, is Philip Phillips coming to Nashville? If he is, I'll go see it for sure. I like Phil Phillips. Are they all the same? This is a very real question. No. No shows are the same. And even on shows back to back, Dave will generally play only 1 or 2 songs off the new album that are the same at both shows. And even then sometimes it'll shift, but no, they're not the same. Even when he does 3-night stands, you might get 1 or 2 songs that repeats in 3 nights, but no, it's not like a big stadium tour where the tour is completely planned out and you're getting the same set list every night. Every night is different. The interludes are different. The mood of the band is different. Every show is different. And the set lists are generally completely different. Have I seen almost every song they play live? Yes. I've only missed a very few. Wait, are BravoCon tickets on sale yet? Did I miss an announcement while I was streaming? Let's look at this and then you can tell me if I've missed things and need to leave immediately. All right. This was filed. Let's swoop again. This is the state's request for discovery disclosure filed on May 23rd because everybody files things when I take a day off. It's all about me. It's not. I'm absolutely being sarcastic. They're on their own schedules that have nothing to do with me. It always tests my boundaries, though. It's like, Emily, you could just stream. Do you want to just stream? Go stream. And then I'm like, no, we'll talk about it on Tuesday. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Let's see. I saw a great question about Dave Matthews in here that I wanted to get to from Tammy. Sorry, Tammy. Then Chad, I promise we're going to go back to things. Question, does Dave know how that you've been to that many of his shows? There are people who have been to hundreds of shows. My number of Dave shows is moderate for the fandom. It is I would consider it a moderate amount for the fandom. There are many who have been to hundreds of shows. So I count myself as a fan. I mean, going to 4 shows in the summer is definitely a fan, but I am a moderate. Shelly, I've been to the Gorge 4 times, but now that you're there, I'll come back to the Gorge. The Gorge is, Shelly will have a whole conversation. The Gorge is work. We'll talk about that in Q&A, but it's good to see you in the chat, friend. Hi. I'll get to see you in like October, I hope. Unless you're going to VidCon and then I'll get to see you there before that. All right. Prosecution's motion. Please take notice that the undersigned, pursuant to Rule 16 of the Idaho Criminal Rules, request discovery and inspection for the following. All papers, documents, photographs, tangible objects, copies, or portions thereof that are within your possession. So, look, if you, defense, are going to introduce things at trial that you have taken, we want to see them. Without asking for them, they wouldn't necessarily get to see them. The discovery obligations for the defense towards the prosecution are different than the discovery obligations for the prosecution towards the defense, different than civil in a criminal proceedings. All results or reports of physical or mental examinations of scientific tests or experiments made in connection with the case or copies thereof. So any testing that you're doing, a list of names and addresses of witnesses, written summaries or reports of any testimony the defense intends to introduce under the rules. So if they are going to bring in experts and stuff, the disclosure of experts, this shall be a continuing reporting or a continuing request pursuant to the rules. Like, hey, if what they're saying there is where's the rest of it? If anything comes up after this request is made, you still have to turn it over. I'm sure I missed something. So anything they intend to introduce at trial within the custody and control of defense, any witness reports prepared, witnesses prepared, written summaries prepared, and that's it. So none of that surprises me. This is a very normal discovery request. What was everybody wigging out about? People were freaking out about this report. Oh, alibi demand. That's why. Because it says alibi demand in there. They're asking for any testimony. This is not a surprise. That's why. I'm like, why were people freaking out? Like losing their minds? This is a very normal discovery request. Y'all, this is procedure. This is like a procedural discovery request. This is not a shocking discovery request. This is literally if you're going to use something at trial, you need to give it to us. Okay. This is not shocking in any way. This is disclose your witnesses, and this is an ongoing discovery request. So that's it. Ongoing discovery request. Nothing very, nothing salacious, nothing wild. Does the prosecution think there's an alibi? I don't think so. They're saying, hey, if you're going to introduce any alibi witnesses or anything like that, you need to disclose it. That's it. Okay. That's a giant nothing burger. It is here's the takeaway from the state's request. That is the state's ongoing discovery request that they're going to file in every single case. Hey, defense, if you're going to use things at trial, you need to give them to us. And this is us officially asking for them. So we reserve the right. And that is it. So with all of that, let's get to questions. Yeah. Elizabeth Holmes reported to jail. Chat, I know I don't normally cover breaking news, but I did touch at it at the beginning. So we're going to touch at it now. Let's see if there's video. Let's see who has video. Reporting. And then we'll go to questions. Let's see. Elizabeth Holmes is reported to prison today in Bryan, Texas. Not surprised that she got the location that she wanted. Now we get to see if Elizabeth Holmes becomes besties with Jen Shaw. That's what we get to see. Let's go to Twitter real quick. I will look for that. We're gonna get to the FAQs, right? And we will see if there's any video reporting on Elizabeth Holmes walking herself into custody. So far, I don't see anything first glance, but I'm just looking at a few of the places where I normally look. But all the reporting I see is that she has turned herself in a little bit early, and she is beginning her sentence. This is all from like 18 minutes ago. So let's see. Yeah, that's all I see. She has walked herself into prison. All right, let's go to questions, shall we? You've got questions. I've got questions. Let's fact around together and find out. Fact now. Oh, yes, chat, my bad. Liz Holmes has reported herself to prison. Not Elizabeth. She goes by Liz. Look, I don't know why they did a profile piece on her trying to be like, let her serve her prison time. After she has served her time, then if you want to do the like, this is what she's learned in prison, go ahead. But before she's even gone to prison, while she's still fighting to stay out of prison and not pay restitution, I'm not here for the rebrand just yet. Like, let her serve her time, and then we can have a conversation about it, right? I mean, the fact that she is actually in custody is something. Did we think we were going to see that day? I don't know. So Wait, pets, cats. Is that true? Brian Christopher Kohberger and Brian Christopher Laundrie. I didn't even notice that both of their middle names were Christopher. Now I need to go to their indictments. Are they really? I knew one was an I and one was a Y, but is their middle names both Christopher? I don't doubt you. I never even noticed. Truly, not at all. Brian C. Kohberger. Let's see if the full indictment gives his full name. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Full indictment. Where's the full indictment? That says Brian C. That says Brian. All of these say Brian C. I don't know. I will look. KTVU has video of her going in. I don't know if we need video of her going in. Let's look at Laundrie. It does say Brian C. on all of these. I haven't seen his full name spelled out, though. I don't doubt. All right. No. I've seen all of this as Brian C. Kohberger, though I bet they said it at the full arraignment. Let's look at Laundrie. Where is my indictment on that one? Oh, yep. And on that one, it's Brian Christopher Laundrie. It doesn't even just say C. That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's get to your questions. Thank you for that observation. I had no idea. I'm gonna have to tell my husband his name is famous. Oh, you're right, Carrie in the chat. Carrie said Emily, you missed it. His mother wrote his full name on the letter. Thank you, chat. All of you are like, girl, it was on the letter. I told you I'm on a bunch of cold medicine today, right? This is why I hated working sick at the DA's office, because your brain does not work the same when you are not feeling well. Where is it? No, but we knew Brian Christopher Laundrie. It was whether or not Kohberger. I have not seen the Kohberger C stand for Christopher. It's probably in his, yeah, you guys all Googled. Thank you. We have all confirmed. In the chat, Farm Girl said, my oldest is Brian Christopher too. I'm sorry. It makes sense. Like, Brian Christopher works well together, especially if they're family names. What is the recent scuttlebutt about drug dealing going on out of the King Road house? I don't know. I have not seen recent scuttlebutt. I have been deep diving into set lists and hanging out. If there is scuttlebutt, I will take a look. But with this gag order, we're not going to know a lot. Is it something that could be happening? I mean, it's a college house. Is it something that could be a theory? I don't know. Is it something that will come up at trial when this goes to trial? Yeah, if that's going on, if there is other activity going on at the house where the victims lived, or if the victims were engaged in it, it will come up at trial. But without any official reporting on that, I am not going to wildly speculate, because it is, I don't think at this point for me, helpful. So we will see, because it's hard to know where sources are coming from when you have a gag order that's pretty steep in place, right? House and Habit has a deep dive on it. I will take a look. I have not read her Substack. I have not read much in the last few days, but I will take a look. Is it something that could have been going on? We don't know. We haven't heard from the surviving roommates. If that is something that the defense suspects, that there was more going on at the house, the defense will want to use that as an affirmative defense. And absolutely, the defense will want to question the surviving roommates about it, which might be why the defense was so proactive about getting an interview with the surviving roommates. So let us continue on with all of your questions. Hold on. What did I do? Emily, your fingers. Cassie, good morning from Australia. I guess 2 a.m. counts as morning, not evening. Jules, shout out to my daughter, Lily. She's graduating high school tonight, then off to St. Louis University to become a pilot. That's so cool. Jules, congratulations to you and your brilliant and responsible daughter. Amazing. Going to DMB in Bangor and West Palm. Amazing. You're going to have the most fun, Elizabeth. I love it. Is Dave an EDB fan? He should be. I doubt it. Dave doesn't strike me as a long form content on YouTube kind of a guy, but you never know. Night Falls, hate to, if, by the way, if DMB was an EDB fan, then he would probably know of the EDB fandomness at this point. Hate to go off topic, but can anyone send some love to my kid, Nick the paraequestrian, battling TB and a spinal injury? I'm sorry, good energy needed. She's a big fan of the channel and listening right now. Nick, we're sending you all of the best energy. Heal well, heal quickly. I'm so sorry that that's what you are going through. That is the absolute worst. And heal well. Those are a lot of things to battle, but you're an equestrian. You've got this. You're tough as shit. You can do it. Brian in the chat wanted the chat to know that he is a nice Brian. You're like, I'm a good Brian. To all the Brians whose name has been forever ruined, I am sorry. I will let my mom know that the chat was shouting her out. She does not watch the live streams very much. Listens to the podcast, yes. Live streams, not so much. I can't, suspiciously specific. Maybe. That was from way earlier ago. Uh-oh. I lost a super chat. I'm sorry. I double clicked. Somebody's $10 super chat got lost. I apologize. Where did it go? I'm sorry. That was my fingers. Apologies if I missed your super chat. I don't doubt that it was insightful and helpful and brilliant. Apologies. Isn't Dr. B a Brian? Dr. B is a Brian. Dr. B is a Brian. Brians are the new Chris. Brians are not having their best moment. Brian J at Lakeland titles like, I'm also a good Brian. The good Brians are like, I'm a nice Brian. You know, it's how Karens must feel. To everyone named Karen, I apologize to you. You had no way of knowing, and your parents had no way of knowing. No one had any way of knowing. Sorry. The Chads are happy though. The Chads are like, my name has a great connotation. The Chads are just like, we're in for it. My mom only uses my full government name when I'm in trouble. That's a very fair statement. Mine too. And yes, mine too. So question, once it's admitted, can the letter be tested as evidence to see when exactly it was written? I don't know what you mean by tested. Colleen, here's what will happen. How about we do this? How about we explain how this would work? There's a lot of ifs in this statement. So remember, this is just one possibility. If the Petito, Kohberger, oh gosh, my Brians are intermixing. If the Petito Laundrie civil case goes to trial, if there will be motions in limine before. The motions in limine before will determine what, if any, part of that letter comes in. I think it all probably would be. But the argument over when this letter was written is an argument of, was it written a few weeks before or a few weeks later? Months at the most. So I don't think there's any way to fact find that other than letting the jury decide. Because I don't think you can get within weeks or months in any type of testing other than to let the fact finder decide. Because if this goes to trial, there will be motions in limine about whether it is admissible. If it is admissible, Roberta Laundrie will testify, this is when I wrote it and this is what it means, and will be cross-examined, and then the jury will get to decide. Oh, chat, you make a good point about Chad Daybell. I forget that his name is Chad. You do make a good point about Chad Daybell. All things are explainable if it was written after she was murdered. There are too many questions if it were before. And this is why juries talk to each other, right? They go back in and say, you know, what about this and what about that? Seems like missing pages was the reference to children's books. Where is the mom's signature? The mom was saying that what's in there is the reference to the children's books. And I don't know what's meant by that. Where is the signature? I don't know, but it was just folded in half. So if there was another piece that was folded in it, it's weird that it's not there, but maybe that part got burned. No mention of rescuing him from a road trip, flat tires, airfare, hotels. It's a very, very good point, Larry, you know. Where is I'm there if you get a flat tire in the middle of the woods. You know, I extended your AAA coverage so that you won't get a flat tire. There is absolutely no reference to that. Call me if you need a warm meal. I'll Venmo you some cash. Like, none of that. There's none of that in there. Lori, I'm so tremendously sorry for your and your daughter's loss. That is a very, very difficult thing. And the entire Lawnerd chat, I'm sure, is going to send you a big old hug. I am sending you a big old hug, and I am sorry for your loss. Take your time to grieve for sure. Tech Valor, you are the greatest producer in the history of the world. Thank you. Formerly Fossil, Tech Valor has saved my fingers from being idiots and said, you inspire me to talk to a doctor. And at 43, I've finally been diagnosed with ADHD. Wait, I'm trying to find the applause. It's next to the crickets, and I didn't want to get it wrong. My life is already so much better. It's never too late. Thank you so much. Look, here's the thing. I really think we need to get to a point where we stop assuming everyone's brain works the same. This chat knows that. I'm not talking about y'all. Y'all know that our brains are spicy and different. And get to the point where it's like, oh, your brain operates this way. It's not you. It's not a moral failing. It's not a personal failing. It's not that you can't do something. Your brain works different. You need to know how your brain works, and you can't live fully until you understand how your brain works. It helps so much to have somebody say, this is how your brain works, and now you can start figuring out what works and what doesn't work, how you're overwhelmed, how you're not overwhelmed. And I think the only way that we all get there is to talk about it. So that, and we all get to talk about it. And that's why I am not, I used to be much more embarrassed talking about it. Now I'm just like, my husband's like, I know. Time is a construct. I'm like, but it is though. I'm completely time blinded. I don't know what time it is. Sorry. And I apologize to people when I'm late to meetings. Hey, so I'm very ADHD. That's what you need to know about me. And if you want something to really, really happen, you need to send an email, because if you text me, I will say, yeah, that sounds great. And then nothing will happen. Gone with Gail said, if she sent it before, why was she offering to help bury a body? Does this mean he was planning on killing Gabby? I don't think it helps her if it's before. And I think that argument will be made. I'm from the same area as this case. The FBI found it with his backpack and remains. The area was flooded out. Lucky Toes, again, we've seen reportings that go both ways, and I appreciate that. Michael Toast, good to see you in the chat. Before or after, this is a green light to harm Gabby. And that is a very fair point. It's a, hey, if the unthinkable happens, I've got you, which is very odd, because if they knew that there had been any violence between them, that letter is a huge, huge red flag. According to JB and Pat Riley, it was found in the van, originally then in Brian's backpack by his remains. I think there's still questions on where it was found, so I'm going with it's unclear for me. JB Bruno. No, not Bruno. Bruno without the R. Could be argued either way. Inappropriate anyway. Lisa, I appreciate that. And the letter's odd for us. And again, you don't necessarily want all your communications to come up in a case like this. But again, the argument is, if Roberta Laundrie's like, I never thought anyone would read it. Of course you didn't. You told him to burn it after reading, and he didn't. So here we are. I just don't understand how this is hard evidence that the parents knew she was dead if there is no date listed. Sarah, that's fair. These things get argued to a jury, and a jury gets to decide. The reason the letter matters is because if they knew when they made the statements, it goes towards whether the statements are unconscionable or outrageous when they made them, if they made those statements knowing that Gabby Petito was deceased. And they get to argue it. That's for a jury to decide, I think, if this gets to jury. Brazen said, I tell my grown kids I would show up with a shovel. I also tell them to always sing the lawyer song to police. Don't pay bail, get a lawyer, and seek OR. Sage advice, even if they're white. I think shut the fuck up is always sage advice, and shut the fuck up always works as sage advice. And now you know that if you text, I will show up with a shovel, that it might end up in court one day. So perhaps telling your kids, if you need me, call me, maybe on a burner phone, helps. But even if they call you on a burner phone, it's still going to show up on your cell phone record. So, we're now at the time when families need like full on passwords so that it's your kids calling you. Because with AI and the way AI has gotten, people can sound very much like your family members. So now we're at we need, family passcodes to actually know it's you. Michael Toast, you're very accurate about that. Medicated Mama said, my mom is quirky AF, but she doesn't talk dead bodies. It's fair. Medicated moment. Sorry, I read that and conflated with everything else. Dottie said, I don't buy the living in sin perspective, helping escape prison, hide a body, check, but sleeping in a van with your betrothed equals no, not buying it. And this is where a jury comes down. You all get to, as a jury, you all would be having this conversation. What about this? What about that? What about these things? That's exactly what a jury does. I think it means this. Oh, I could see it like that. That's what I love about this chat. It's strange either way. It's strange. Pat Kay said, I think it gave him the idea. I don't know if the murder of Gabby Petito was planned. I don't know if it was planned or if it was an argument that got out of hand. I don't know. Roberta didn't quote the Bible. She admitted things. Honey Badger, she said she quoted it. So I don't know the Bible well enough to know what she admitted, but I will have to go. Now research is needed. Research is needed. Shannon said, question, if Roberta gave him the letter prior to the killing, could her words have planted the seed in his mind, knowing that he could do anything and his mom would have his back? I think there's an argument for that. And that goes to, how do the lawyers argue this if this goes to a jury? Question, is Jen in the welcome committee at Camp Bryan? I have no idea. Maybe will Holmes join Jen Shaw's Real Housewives of Bryan play? I don't know. Maybe it's a good way to make friends. What can you share about your reactions to the Vanderpump reunion part 1 and what you look forward to in the next 2 parts? Well, I want to know if they're trying to split Vanderpump into giving like Schwartz and Sandy's its own like part of the show. Like, are they going to focus part of the show around the servers at Schwartz and Sandy's? Like, and if they are, how can you build part of this franchise around Sandoval? Like, seriously. But that's the only thing I could think that might make the rest of the cast not want to film. So whatever this reveal is and whatever reason they haven't signed contracts, I think it has to do with Schwartz and Sandy's. What do I think about VPR Reunion Part 1? It was a lot more fun watching it on Peacock with all the curse words in it because I wanted to see it. Lala is triggered as fuck, and I love that she's like, I'm just leaning in. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I really feel for Ariana having to sit there, but Ariana has definitely made the most out of a bad situation. I want to see the answer to Sandoval being confronted with, do you love Raquel? I don't think he does. I think that Raquel was really exciting for him as a side chick when he was sneaking around on his relationship, and that excitement, now that it's all been unearthed, maybe that excitement is gone. And I think Sandoval is living for the excitement. And he said, like, I don't want to feel washed up. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel that. It's like, and I think I said it on Instagram when we were watching the last episode, not the reunion. Like, I don't know, go on vacation, get some Botox, get a new tattoo, something, like, figure it out. But what you don't do is cheat on your partner. Amanda said, I felt so bad for Observe when he reviewed Vanderpump. It looked like it broke him. I need him to do each parts of the reunion, and I need him to do the fight between both. It's except that NBC is so difficult with clips. I imagine that would be a hard thing to do because NBC claims clips and makes it very hard to react to their stuff with clips on the internet. So those are my thoughts, and I will be, I share those on Instagram, but I can do a deep dive and share those more if you guys want to know. Are you doing any podcasts or streams regarding Vanderpump? I watched the whole series, so we can talk about it on members only too, because it's not the content I do here, but we can talk about it more on members only, for sure. I mean, for sure. And I do stories of it the night that it airs on my Instagram. My mom embarrassed me in front of Dave by screaming out a window about babysitting, and to give him my number, I could have died of embarrassment. Oh my God. Isn't that what parents are for? It's like, don't embarrass me in front of Dave Matthews. But I love that. I mean, Dave is Dave. And Dave concerts are the dopamine that we all need in the summer, and I love it. Phenomenal throat syrup, secret weapon of vocal artist, instant relief, prime shipping. I will absolutely. Andrea, I've got you. What do I have right now? Right now I have my Throat 37. It's mostly my nose that's the issue. And I have Entertainer Secret to get me through the podcast recording for today. It's mostly my nose. So the nose is the problem. And I'm going to go back. I've got my steamer and stuff, so I'm going to go take a break and do that before I record. But thank you. I appreciate that, and I will save that and go look for it for sure. It's the letter combination of the parents' actions following Gabby's disappearance that does it for me, Rachel, and that's a fair point. Because the actions afterward, I get it. It seemed like they were protecting their son. And what else are they going to do, right? We'll see. My mom has said before, she loves me so much she'd do time for me, but never as descriptive as that letter. It's chilling. I mean, I get it. I'm like, here's where I'm like with my kids. It's like, you know that I love you, but also if you touch my stuff, we're going to have a big conversation. Please don't play on my version of the Nintendo Switch game. Please don't go into my phone and trade my Pokemon Go. I love you, but I will also hold you accountable. I don't know if I would say to my kids, like I have told my kids I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what decisions you make. But there are times I might be disappointed in the decisions you make, and I will let you know that too. But my disappointment is not going to stop me from loving you. Because I want my kids to be able to come to me when they make bad choices and say, I will help you figure it out. But sometimes figuring out means there will be consequences. And that's what that is. But if somebody hurt my kid, could I see myself doing time for my kid because somebody has harmed them? Yep, I could. That I could see. That I could absolutely see. I'm a bit like, don't come for my kids. But that Bible verse is supposed to be about the love of God, and she's putting herself in the place of God with the way that she used it. That makes it even creepier. Thank you, D. Whitaker, for the insight. That makes it worse, where she's like, my love for you is like the love that God has. But I guess she's putting herself in the position of the creator, right? She's like, I created you. I birthed you. It's weird. It's weird. It's an odd letter, right? As a geoff, I totally get how name connections can change. GOT really did mine in, especially the spelling. So the reason I say geoff is because at karaoke over the weekend, there was a Jeff in the crowd who spelled their name Jeff with an O. And they were called Geoff for the entire night. And the entire crowd was like, Geoff, it's time to sing. So Jeff, I totally get it. Game of Thrones can do that. TV could definitely do that to names. So, and Bell said, as a writer, I talk dead bodies often, but not in real life. I mean, it's if you have family members that are in prosecution, law enforcement, medical, like you talk about things you wouldn't normally. It's just an interesting thing to see in that letter, given all the circumstances, right? The circumstance kind of kill it. Can we do a watch party with Up and Adam? At some point, I'm sure that we will. Watch parties are hard to figure out, but I'm traveling this week, but I will share stuff on Insta. People article has a pic of Liz arriving. All right, I'll go look at people. I'm sure Liz is, understated. I love that you accept differences in brain function. How do we not? My brain functions in all kinds of a myriad of different ways that are different, that I have been told are different. But we just, I don't know. I think it's weird to accept that everybody perceives the world the same way. I mean, lived experience tells me people do not perceive the world the same way. We have different experiences. We come from different backgrounds. We have different upbringings. We have different advantages or disadvantages or difficulties. We can't, I don't know. I just assume that everybody sees the world different. And I like to ask questions about, what does that mean to you? What about this? What about that? On that note, I sent an email regarding Charleston. Reagan, we will find it. Thank you, because we have it. So I don't know. I think all of us see the world differently. So with that, you guys, I've got to go clear out the rest of my face so I can record the podcast. Members, I will let you know when I am recording the podcast. It'll be a bit earlier today. It will not be in the night because I've got to get it done to get to my editors. Editors, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. If the podcast is late, I will let you all know about it in all of the spaces. Check audio first. That's normally where it goes live, because audio, it normally goes live first there. I will not be streaming on Thursday or Friday. I will be off and away. Next week will be a busy week. I will be on social a bit, but I will also be recovering a bit. I also have a lot of work to do. So if I'm on social too much, I'm going to get text messages being like, I see you on Instagram, but what you need to be doing is this. And yes, chat, thank you. I will call my mom back. I will do that too. Y'all, thank you for being here. Thank you for being law nerds. You are the best. I appreciate you. I will see you around the interwebs. I will be back streaming more regularly next week, and then I'm back for much of the summer, except for a little bit of time off around 4th of July and things. So don't worry, I've still got you no matter what you are doing for the summer. And with that, I will see you soon. Don't forget to do the YouTube things. I haven't even asked this stream. You know what to do. Y'all are smart. Do the YouTube things. Make sure you're still subscribed and stuff. I'll see you soon. Bye. You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show, and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.